The Overwatch 2 beta finally came out, and I was hyped. Really hyped. And I thought the first 2 weeks of May were gonna be awesome, because I would get really into Overwatch 2 and I would see the new changes and it would be great, and Overwatch would be really fun again. But then I played it. And yet again Blizzard works its magic. They hype me up and then shit in my mouth. So to explain the bad taste in my mouth, let's look at the changes. They made tanks more fun to play, removed a lot of the CC from the game, but kept the roll queue, and removed one tank so it's 5v5, and it isn't as shield heavy anymore. But roll queue. Roll queue means long queues, if you wanna play something fun. Why do tanks and DPS have such long queues? Well, because not enough people are playing supports, and no one wants to play supports because playing support isn't fun. Playing as a support in Overwatch 2 is like being the shortest person on the basketball team. Just everyone is dunking on you, and all you can really do is pass the ball to the taller players hoping that they will score. And while you wait for them to score, the tall Japanese player on the enemy team runs at you screaming "Ryuga Kikuwakogwe!" and beats the shit out of you while the referee is busy hitting on the single moms. When there were 2 tanks, the supports had more stuff to hide behind. Also, they had more ways to generate ult. But now, especially since they didn't make any changes to the support, they feel weak as shit. And just frankly out of place. If everyone on the team except the tank dies from 1 or 2 Hanzo arrows, what is the point of a healer? What is the point of 2 extra characters on the team who barely do any damage? And spend most of the time healing the tank and hanging around him, because they're not gonna be healing the damage dealers because they're busy diving the enemy team to kill their supports. Oh, and then you die because the enemy DPS kills you in a second. Supports in Overwatch 2 just feel like a way for the DPS to have fun, and that makes playing a support a miserable experience. The worst part is that the new character in the beta is a DPS, and sure, she's really fun, but Overwatch desperately needs new supports. Since the release of Overwatch, I don't think there has been a single point in time where there was any support better than Mercy. She has the best heal and the revive. That already makes her way better than all the others. But Lucio and Ana are fun. And Lucio's ult is pretty good, but still Mercy is the queen of supports. And I guess Moira is fun when you aren't waiting to respawn. Playing as a DPS is fun. Problem is 10-minute queue. And I really liked McCree. I mean Cassidy, I guess. But his stun was like the best thing about him, and now his right click isn't nearly as good and he isn't nearly as useful. But at least his ult is good. Oh, and Mei can only freeze with her ult, so why even play her instead of a better straight DPS character like Sojourn? I'm a pretty casual player. I play games for fun. I drift from game to game like the gamer slut I am, so I don't get super heavy into all the synergies and strategies between characters, and when I jump into an Overwatch game, I wanna start having fun right away. I don't want to sit in a 10-minute queue, and I don't want to play a support because they are boring and frustrating to play. The fun supports are only fun for a support. The fun supports aren't nearly as fun as even a mediocre DPS. For Overwatch 2, Blizzard wanted to make tanks more fun. Well, apparently, mission accomplished. But with that, supports were left behind in the dust. But dudes, come on, it's just a beta. They will make more changes. Well, I would certainly fucking hope so, because right now this is embarrassing. It doesn't feel like a sequel, it feels more like 4 patches onto the original game. I will say that I do like the changes to 5v5 and 1 less tank and less CC in the game. In theory at least, but in practice in the beta it left the supports feeling underpowered, and now with 1 less tank, When would you play Winston, for example? He's a dive tank, and if the tank leaves the support, they die. Well, to be fair, even if the supports are with the tank, they still die from a Genji or a stray Hanzo arrow, or if anyone just breathes near them. This video is very support focused because in my experience and just clearly based on the queue times, they are very lacking right now. And I would say the number one priority for Blizzard should be making them feel better and have more tools to survive a dive through skill. That would fix that Winston issue I mentioned earlier. With the DPS characters, I think they would be fine like this, but would probably just need some tuning. I also just think that splitting the support role into healers and supports would help a lot. And then you could move some of the DPS characters into the support role. Like Symmetra could be more of a support that gives you shields, for example, and Mei is now more of a crowd control support. And moving damage characters to a support role would distribute heroes better, since right now the majority of the characters are on damage. I really hope Blizzard listens to the feedback from this beta and not just from the pros. Please listen to casuals too, because they usually make the bulk of the player base. And the pro experience is incredibly divorced from the average player experience. For example, in Europe, no one uses voice comms, and if they do, then they're speaking French or Russian. Or their English accent is so bad you only understand every third word. So the average player experience won't be nearly as coordinated as the pro experience. Hope they make some good changes, because this isn't good enough and has a lot of problems. This isn't the usual videos I make. I usually review games both old and new, and weird games, and I try to look for stuff that doesn't have a lot of attention. And even if you aren't interested in the game, I try to make it entertaining at least. So check out my reviews if you want to see what that's like, and subscribe if you like it. But anyway, just wanted to vent about my experience with the beta, because I'm pretty disappointed. And just didn't really want to play the beta much because it wasn't very fun. Record scratch, freeze frame. Actually, they were quick with some changes. For example, giving Sanyara a kick to help with close quarters combat, and making Roadhog's ultimate not trash. And they put in open queue. Open queue is the best way to play Overwatch in my opinion. No long ass queue, and you aren't restricted to a limited selection of heroes. If I'm having a hard time with something as Cassidy for example, then I would maybe want to switch to Winston, because that might make it easier. I can't do that in role queue. I don't like every support character, and I don't like every tank character, same for damage. But I do like certain characters in each of these roles, so I wanna switch between them depending on situations and not just one role. And I think open queue just makes for more interesting, varied gameplay with more crazy team compositions, which was kinda one of the original selling points for Overwatch 1. So when they added open queue, my enjoyment of the beta increased drastically. Even if I was losing, I was still having fun, because I was playing a fun character and not just some boring shit I'm stuck with. In conclusion, the Overwatch beta isn't good enough after all this time. And it's certainly not good enough to be a sequel. Even with the PvE stuff, there aren't enough changes to the PvP to merit that sequel label. But the changes are promising, and I think that Overwatch can be very fun in the future. If you disagree or feel like I missed a lot, I would love to talk more about this in my comments or the Discord. Call me Uncle Bryan, and have a good day.